Today's story was written by Reddit user The Dodging Six. It was like looking into the goddamn sun. I opened my eyes and my whole body contracted. Through squinted eyes, I could see nothing but light blinding me, and then I noticed I was wearing no clothes, and on the floor of some featureless room. Watch, listen, wait. It smelled like a mix of ozone and erasers. I realised that I had no clothes on and went through my usual ritual of recalling where I would have stashed my phone, wallet, keys and pants, but couldn't recall when I had changed. I shrugged. Sometimes the change comes on too strong. You don't get a chance to really stash belongings sometimes. That's the currency of the curse. You play the hand you have with the chips remaining. And I was pantless, in what felt like a cell. I say cell, but could see no obvious doors, bars, windows. Damn near fuck all was visible with all this light. "Hey, is anyone there? Can you turn these lights down, please?" I cried to the bright void. The sound of a whoosh behind me indicated a few things to me. 6'4" and 5'11" female and male. Something off in the smell. Smelled like baby skin does. Fresh, unblemished, new. Which was strange for a full-grown adult. "Our most, sincere apologies," the female said. Listen, the words, the tone, unfamiliar, like someone speaking a language they've only practiced. Hesitant, unsure, but free of accent. "Yes, we tried to simulate the rising sun, The male made a gesture like he was reaching for a word he couldn't quite find. "Calming effect. We're told to wake up from," with a gesture from the male. Brown hair, brown eyes, grey suit, weird cut, and a perma-smile. The lights dimmed enough for me to no longer need to squint. "You're off by a few lumens," I said. "Stall, give no disadvantage. The lone wolf only has a single chance to strike." "You'll have to pardon my, undress. I can't remember anything about the party," I said. I felt no shame in the nakedness, but it was normal to express shame for people, so I played a hand with the chips I have. "We took the liberty of removing your clothing." The female spoke. Brown hair also, brown eyes, related? Possibly twins from build and face shape. Near on a carbon copy of different sex. "I see." "We would like to express our sentiments. This may come as a shock to you, but we are not as we appear to be," the female resumed. "Oh?" I replied, with practiced earnest. "I've dealt with hunters precisely one time before. The vibe was similar. Quoting the good of all, entirely too polite for the things they wanted to do to me. We have taken this form to ease your mind, but we have come from another planet for a ritual that is paramount to our culture." "Okay, that's a new one." "We understand this realization may come as a shock to you. We have prepared materials that may help ease your mind." "No need, I buy it," I said, with undeserved confidence. They both looked at each other and I stifled a chuckle. "Your predecessors usually require time to," the male began. "You're aliens, I buy it. Why am I here?" The female looked somewhat flabbergasted, and that told me I played my hand a little too soon. Had I feigned ignorance, put on a show of vulnerability, they may have underestimated me. Other life may be harder to accept for some, but when you pay in the currency of the curse, you buy into the idea of other forms of life. The female made a sweeping gesture. For time uncountable, our people have proven themselves as the apex of the universe by hunting the dominant species of lesser planets. The chosen of these other worlds are considered to be the closest equal beset of our own people. We consider you to be, on some caliber, an exemplary specimen of your people," the male said. "Thanks, I work out," I replied. No laughs, just a pregnant pause where they smiled to disguise their confusion. What's that indicate? Are they new at this? Don't understand colloquialisms? Am I just not funny? I end the silence. So, it's a hunt? A glorious hunt, the female exclaims. There's a red glint in her eye. Ah, so the beast shines through. Emotional. Pathos-built decision-making. With an ego. Watch, listen, wait. Will I be given anything to defend myself with? I asked. The male nodded. We have procured a number of your primitive technologies that you yourself may operate. I made a gesture that weighed the possibilities. I'm guessing nukes, tanks or planes are off the table. The female stepped forward. Are you able to operate those devices? She asked in a motherly tone. I am not. Then they will not be made available. Bitch, this isn't designed to be a fair fight. From the posturing, tone, hell, even the skin suits all indicate that they are way above in terms of firepower. Even if I had a tank and could drive it, there's no telling if it'd be any use against anything these guys have. Is it just against the two of you? I asked. Yes, said the male. Will it be on my planet? No, said the female. Where? The female made another gesture to what was now a window. I made sure I didn't turn my back to them, but the view made it hard not to face it. The land masses were a deep indigo with crimson seas. Specks of silver lined different areas, as stretch marks on the face of this titanic planet. I searched and felt a smirk cross my face. 6 moons. When do we begin? Also, can I at least get some pants? Watch, listen, wait. Fuck space. Their form of pageantry that surrounds this little event is little much for my taste. They were to pledge me, to show off what good stock they were to be hunting on this planet. Many onlookers. Ship must have had 100 on board that I saw, and there is no fucking way I'm taking on 100 to 1 odds. I don't care if there are 30 moons. The smart wolf doesn't fuck with a larger pack without backup. They crated me in a glorified cage with all kinds of finery and filigree adorning it. I was just happy to have pants. Some platitudes were mentioned about the honour and glory of my kind, and for a moment my heart stopped. I had been working off the assumption that they believed me fully human. I was banking on it. But what if they had known? Humans are the dominant species of Earth, but the strongest predators may be something else. Hard to say in the moment if they knew what I was. Doubtless, if they did, they wanted to play hard mode. But this was my hand. Time to see what they had. The summary. They had a lot. Out of their human sleeves, they were these grey-skinned insectoids with lean muscle. Their legs reminded me of grasshoppers, and they had 4 lanky arms. Their heads, and I laughed, but their heads reminded me of the xenomorphs from Alien. Their form suggested they were fast runners with good dexterity. They couldn't fly, at least not without assistance, and their eyes changed colour. My guess is that they could see different wavelengths, heat, ultraviolet, or maybe it was just a way of communicating, a way to imply tone or sentiment. They spoke to me, in my language, only once asking my name so that it could be immortalised as one of the worthy dead. I wanted to make a comment about the cart before the horse, but instead said, Buddy Barker. And here we commend thee, Butter Baker, to the hallowed names of those torn asunder by the Aomis, said the priest, announcer. I'd defer to my original comment. Fuck space. I was working with a lot of unknowns, and any questions I asked would reveal me to my hunters, so I kept it to one. What happens if I win? The female seemed bemused, the equivalent of a half chuckle, I guess. With orange eyes, she said, "If you are so fortunate, you will be returned home, of course." All that told me is that orange eyes means that they were lying, but hey, that's their tell. I considered what 6 moons meant. I had a few running theories. It may mean that all night cycles held the promise of the change, and whatever the stage of the moon would vary in how much control I'd have in my actions. This wouldn't be bad necessarily, but it'd be sporadic. Any tactics I'd have to implement when I wouldn't necessarily have the headspace to do it. If I got full moons, or each one somehow enhanced me, I might be the strongest version of my changed self, the automatic apex. Full form, no control, just carnage. I smiled. It wouldn't matter what firepower they had. They'd be meat on the ground. Run, bunny, run. Healing would be no issue. Could shrug off an apocalypse. The mental strain might be no road home though. Stuck like a monster forever. A win, but at what cost? The darkest possibility was that my change was tied directly to Luna, Earth's moon. Maybe none of these had any effect on me whatsoever. I might show up and pay in the currency of the curse, but these moons might say they only accept pesos instead of dollars. If that was the case, I was dead by planetfall. I shrugged. If that were the case, there wasn't much I could do. I'm not going to pretend I can fly anything these guys built, and even if I did hide, which as smart of a wolf as I am, that's not how I intend to go out. They'd probably find me with whatever they're bringing with them. I stayed focused on the better options and hoped for some degree of control. I'm outmanned and gunned, so the only tactic I have is gonna be hitting them hard and getting out fast. That means whatever I end up needs to have a degree of cover to it or be dangerous enough to something that can't regenerate. A thought excited me. I didn't see any silver. More accurately, I couldn't smell any. Each element has its own flavour, like ice cream, but you learn the smell of the thing that can hurt you. Occupational hazard. Now, that may not matter if your hunter can disassemble your molecules in seconds, but if it doesn't immediately kill me, I can probably come back from it. But what good does that do me? If they go too soft, they might escalate to the point where it won't matter what they hit me with. If they put me down hard enough, they'll think they've killed me, leave, and then I'm stuck on this rock forever. It's not like I got much going on back home while there's a pandemic going, but I would eventually like some old creature comforts. No, the way to win is to get back home. I had to play this smart. I looked at the planet from my cell. It had seemed so big when I had seen it, but truthfully, I didn't know if it was even bigger than Earth. Maybe I was hoping it was, hoping that there was more space to run. Watch, listen, wait. Bad wolves don't run. I waited. I formed plans, tactics on what to do with what little I had. I ran hypotheticals, but after a while, it felt like what a high schooler would dream about doing if a terrorist came to his school. I started to really consider that I might be dead or stranded so far from home. What pack would mourn me here? Who would howl in the blood and say that Buddy had paid in the currency of the curse? Who would mew in the dark and claim me a lover and fighter, and run in my spirit through the wood and feast on what it provides? No. Fear keeps a bad wolf in wait. Fury makes them strike. They came for me. Their armory was plentiful. Lots of guns, swords, everything I've seen used in an action movie. No vehicles, but a surprising amount of survival gear. I put into a backpack everything I thought I'd need for extreme camping. Took a knife, not silver, and was led to a small pod. When I looked down, I saw the floor was see-through. I did not throw up, but I thought about it. I could see the planet below. They were going to straight up drop me out of their ship into space, onto a planet. Fuck space. The bug that worked the panel told me they are honoured by my sacrifice, to which I replied, Geronimo. And then, I dropped. Imagine a car crash. No, imagine being in the engine of a plane while your blender is running on frappe. My fucking ears. Those goddamn animals. I could not tell you how long I fell for. Too long in a tin can that had been thrown into the turbulence of space. I want to say that I gritted my teeth like a badass, but I definitely screamed until one of the moons came into the view of the courtesy window I was given. Whatever lay below me, I felt confident in one thing. It did not matter that here was not Earth's moon. It's like an intuition, or a feeling in the air. It permeates all bad wolves. This might not make sense. It's like knowing a friend is the one knocking on your door. As I entered the atmosphere, my cackle joined the myriad of sounds. I felt like a madman as the pull from the pod slowed my descent to the eventual landing. As the pod rests there on that deep purple landscape, the doors opened to a dry heat. The smell of metals filled my nostrils, and I took my first intrepid steps onto the new planet. I didn't get to enjoy the moment. The change doesn't account for sentimentality. It takes. All things that make you stronger come from pain, and the change is no different. It peels back the skin as if glass shards were to separate it from bone. It burrows like bees in your teeth, popping each one out and driving a stronger nail through the hole. It is the pop and stretch of your jawbone to the front of your face, with all the corresponding pops, breaks and grinds. I try not to think about the tail. It's weird. It's maybe the only thing I haven't gotten used to. I won't lie, this time it felt different. Certain portions would stop before completing the full turn. One hand had fur, but the nails hadn't come in. Half of my face was still flat, and the other was trying to accommodate a muzzle pushing out. I felt lopsided, off balance. One leg, I discovered, was stretched out and looked midway broken. A few key joints yet to form. I looked up at the red sky to see a waxing moon overhead, praying it would let me take off my skin in the cannibal glow. The mental was the weirdest part. The brain has to be streamlined to accommodate the change. All complex thoughts are traded for the ability to comprehend all the new information your senses are now seeing. Sometimes it leaves you with enough to drive, other times you're just along for the ride. To me, the degree of control has always felt comparable with how much of the moon is out. It's an ongoing argument in the pack if that's really what does it. Others say it's related to diet, or emotion going in, or tied to a sexual component, more territorial or primal when you're horny. This time felt like sensory overload. Too much to smell, feel, and the sounds were all crowding into my too human brain. My clown car overhead was having difficulty sorting stimuli. Some newer wolves have this issue on the first few changes, and it's basically just like riding it out until things normalise. But here, I was stuck shifting gears out in the open next to a pod. I was able to cram one more thought in my head. Run. And I did. Just in time too. The bolt from overhead annihilated the pod. A part of my stomach dropped as I realised my backpack was still in that pod. Cry later, move now. Even with that gimp leg, I was booking it. Pushing through pain and sensory vomit that was the buzz of whatever those bugs were on. Trusting the bad wolf brain to tell me when to jump out of the way of the crackling blasts and vacuous booms. I aimed for a tree line I could barely see next to a stream of red water. I remember vaguely thinking, they look kinda like palm trees, before Bad Wolf kicked me damn near out of the car. I wake up to a burning in my hands, my face down in the underbrush, red sky above me, and my hands are outstretched in the red water. Bad Wolf got me far enough to a place I could pass out. I examine my hands. Ah, they're roasted. My whole arms are too. I must have put my hands up to deflect something from hitting my face. The flesh is creeping back on there, black fur following the new pinky flesh. I take a look at my reflection. I'm half-shaped. The muzzle has come in, but the eyes are still human. Patches of skin have hair exploding out of them, as the human dermis hasn't decided to let go yet. One ear human, the other bad wolf. I grab my ass. I find a tail. Still weird. Weirder still is my legs are both fully formed, but I still have human needs, and I'm not brave enough to check below the belt. I close my eyes, part of it listening for the two hunters, but mostly to centre myself in where my mind is. Hours have passed, and Bad Wolf is in the back seat, giving instinct advice to the driver. I hear a hum. Bad Wolf tells me it sounds like what they fly on. I look up. The star that causes daylight on this planet is setting. My last theory is I'm gonna have a change by night, and my agency is going to be less certain by then. If I'm making a play, I do it just before. This is gonna suck. I take a clawed hand and start skinning myself, and it feels exactly like you'd expect it to. It's just a little shave. As I start pulling out clumps of blood, flesh and hair and putting it into a mound, I heal, I rip, I heal, I tear, I heal. Once I feel like I'm pushing a limit, I sit. I feel the knitting feeling of regrowing flesh and try to taste the water. The red colour comes from clay, I decide. I taste no death in it. Done resting, I gather my remains and begin to search for a clearing. I'm not going to fight these guys on their terms. Taking damage, fleeing, getting worn down and eventually slain. I can't host a third match with them. I won't have it in me. I accumulate the shaved bits into a mound in an area among some tall trees. I then slink back and wait as the star goes lower and lower in the sky. I'm getting hungry. I have no clue if anything on this planet will liquefy my insides, and I've pushed my healing to a pretty hard ceiling already. But each growl in the stomach I hear in my mind, Bad Wolf might change it. That stupid pack. I grabbed it thinking I'd be stuck human. Now that I know I'm not, I realise it might have helped to take a gun at the very least for hunting. But no. A shot might draw the hunters to my position if this went on longer, although now, attracting them with sound might be a good idea. It's getting closer to night. Bad Wolf is huffing and puffing. I can feel a building up of something. I don't even look for the moons. The sight might just push it over. Bit by bit, more skin gives way to fur. The change has never been slow before. The sensation is like peeling a sunburn. I focus on it to direct attention away from the growling monster within. Then there's this pop I hear, and all the colour changes. It was my eyes, of course, firing out of my head like bullets to make way for the new ones. That pressure that was building fills my chest as I let out a long guttural howl. They're there in seconds, buzzing like flies on these hovering machines. One pulls out a kind of trident. The points emit some kind of energy and roasts the scraps that once were me. I hear this clicking sound and I realise it's laughing. They're laughing at me. It was a snap so small you could have mistaken it for a branch. The snarl follows behind me and the trident wielder hasn't even the time to turn and see me. One moment they're there, and the next I have them by one of their arms and toss them onto the ground hard enough to break their helmet. Their panicked little eyes, this blue-green as it's grasping at a shoulder. I realise I threw them hard enough that the torque just separated the arm from the socket. Fuck it, why stop? I sink teeth deep into their clavicle as a hold and tear left and right. loosening up the lean muscle in the upper torso. It's the female, I realise. It's that same tone as her scream fills a night air. I get a hold on the lower arm, the last remaining on that side, and I give it a nice, slow twist. Relish the sound, Bad Wolf. That's tendon snapping. Those are bones and cartilage, crashing like waves on a shore of pure, exquisite pain. The arm doesn't come neatly from its socket, but in the end, I've disarmed them. I giggle at my own joke, but you can't hear it for all the screaming. It sounds like running a knife over a guitar string. Using a thumb to force the jaw open, I shove the arm down this thing's throat. I push it down. I probably could have gotten it down farther. Pain erupts from my back as two bursts of heat hit from behind me. I spin around, the female's neck gripped in my right hand and her now detached arm in my left. The male stands 10 feet from me maybe, a silver torpedo-shaped gun emitting a blue glow from the business end. "Oh, hey," I'm growling out into what can barely be considered language. "Fancy seeing you here." His helmet is on, but he's saying something in that clicky language of theirs. "I was just out for a stroll, taking in the moonlight." I can feel more change, stronger change, as more moons rise. And look who I bumped into. I forced the arm the female was choking on to wave. Her gurgle tells me she's not long for any world. "You know," I look down. I guess they bleed green because there's a lot of it. "She might still make it." I start backing up, nice and slow. The male follows. It's all theatre, a dance. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Watch me, listen to me, wait on me. This is my move. "I'm just trying to get back home. Which way might that be?" I grab the dismembered arm and point it. "This way, and then, or that way." The male holds up a hand. "We'll take you back." I hear an electronic voice from some widget on his wrist. "We will take you back," it repeats. The female is writhing. Her breathing is getting erratic. I remove the arm from her throat. I hear her coughing. Without breaking my stare, I lift the arm to my mouth and rip the muscle off and chew. "Gamey." Nah." To my right hand, I just close my fist, but I make sure that when the female skull pops, it showers the male in green. His shot gives me my window and all 6 moons rise. I grow, I twist, and it all goes red. There are flashes, green blood on the surrounding trees falling like rain, the pressure of something between my teeth that goes crunch. I recall being wrist deep and pulling things out of a chest cavity. That could be the female, honestly. I can't say. I know I took a couple arms or legs off for sure. I remember him scrambling to touch the little device, pleading it to beg for mercy in a language I understood, but Bad Wolf only understands violence. Eventually they brought a ship down, and I held the male and female, one in each hand, and bellowing, "We are honoured by their sacrifice." The male lived. They worked fast to get him mechanical parts from where I ripped off. He had to live, otherwise no one else would be able to say firsthand what happens when you fuck with a bad wolf. He would visit me in my cell, wouldn't say anything, he'd just glare. Cold white eyes staring. I never goaded him, never rose to his challenge. I was alpha to him, and such things are beneath alpha. He knew I was the reason he still had 1 or 2 real limbs. You know how I know there was no plan to send me back if I won? They took me to the wrong planet twice before I corrected them. They kept me in a cell in that time. I guess they didn't know I needed a moon in order to change. They got me home in the end, because I beat them. I took them down, not over some long pursuit, but in 2 moves. Kill one and leave the other alive but broken. He's not going to heal right, not in the way that matters. The pack would be proud if anyone would believe the story. We do not seek glory from others though. The bad wolf seeks glory for glory's sake. They simply must be able to watch, listen, wait, and strike